Caged Minds Uncensored. I'm your host, Micah Frankel, and this week joining me is Jesse Tafoya from the JacksonWink Academy. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing great, man. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. We discussed a little bit before that, had some trigger point injections this week on my back. I felt better before. I don't like the winter so much. It doesn't like me. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty good, bro. Yeah, just getting back in the groove of things.
I'm getting back in the groove of things. Shit, last weekend I heard you were in action, 51-second TKO?
Yes, that is correct. Yeah, that happened.
That happened. Where was it? Tell us about it. I heard it was the team event. Fill us in on the details, man.
Okay, so last weekend, me and six other JacksonWink fighters, amateur fighters, went to San Diego, California, and we fought on an event called Epic Fighting 36, and it was the host to the finals of the Elite Amateur Fight League National Tournament. So it was Team JacksonWink versus Team Alpha Male, and the winner essentially is the best amateur program in the nation, is like what they're calling it. So yeah, it was really important that we win that, and good thing, yeah, we went out and we did.
You guys do that. You come back. I heard there's a trophy, but Coach Joey told me it broke, so they're sending you guys a replacement.
I had no idea. I was wondering what happened to that because I did not see the trophy go with us on the plane.
There, I'll fill it in for you. Coach Joey Villasenor said it had broke. There's a new one on the way. I told him we're going to have to get all you guys in the jerseys, in the gear. Got to get everybody together from the amateur team so we can take a picture and, really celebrate this occasion.
Yeah. Man, that's a bummer, but it was a cool trophy, for sure. It was huge. If I'm thinking about the right one.
So what was it like as a team going out there, San Diego, having that fight night and that trip experience? That's like a real team thing that we don't talk about in MMA, where that's more of like, something you hear baseball, basketball, football, a team trip. What was that like?
Yeah, it was awesome. We had good vibes all the way through. We had a really strong team, like from the get-go, I saw the lineup, and I was like, man, we're winning this for sure. So it was good vibes. Everybody was ready. Everybody was on it. Everybody was ready to dominate. Yeah, man, it was good. It was a good time. Like, I enjoyed going out with the guys.
Okay, so you're like killing it here by not mentioning names. I know that Dan was out there. I know Edwin Cooper Jr. was out there. Who all was out there? Who
Yes,
was the
sir.
team that went and won the trophy?
So we had me at 125. We had Dan at 140. Then we had Cooper at 145. Justin O'Connor at 155. And then we had Ashamaz Dogolovgov at 170. No, he was at 185. And then Keenan Jackson was at 170.
Wow. So what was
Killers.
it like that night, the team experience, where obviously I'm pretty sure there was a lot of you guys in action. It's a little bit different than regular for the coaches. I'm pretty sure they're spread a little thin. What was fight night like?
Okay, so it was really interesting. So we got to the back in the corner, and I saw Chris Lieben there, and I was like, oh, hey, Chris Lieben's here. And then I look on the card, and he's reffing the fights. So I was like, that's pretty sick. I was like, came up watching him knock people out, so that was pretty dope. But we had all of our fighters going back-to-back, pretty much. So, and we had three coaches with us. We had Joey Villasenor, we had Harry St. Ledger, and then we had Seth Abeda. And, yeah, they were the ones helping us out. So it was a little bit hectic. I'm sure it was really hectic for the coaches because they had to constantly go back and forth. But, yeah, man, it was a good time. Like, all of us went back-to-back, and we got 4 wins and 2 losses total. And it goes by points, so it's like you get 6 points for a finish, 3 points for unanimous decision, and 2 points for split decision. So in the end, we won like 22-10.
Nice.
Yeah, because so we basically won by 2 finishes.
Nice. So a really good productive night out there. What did you think of, as you said it, Chris Lieben as a referee? What was that like having him as your referee?
That was sick. Cause on the page he wasn't listed as my referee. Like it said who was refereeing which fight, and he wasn't listed as mine. So I was kind of like, oh man, like I wish he did. But then I got out there and I was in the cage and I saw him in there with me and I was like, oh, this is dope. But I had to stay focused, you know. I had to focus on my opponent.
Okay, so what about after the finish though, and Chris Lieben's raising your hand in victory?
Yeah, yeah, dude, it was sick. I love that. Yeah, I got to say, you know, it was an honor to meet you. All that jazz. So it was good.
Now, who did you fight from Team Alpha Male?
I fought this guy, Adrian Miguel Lopez. He actually fought Slade Ring on Legacy, and he fought Jerome Rivera on King of the Cage in like 2013.
51-second TKO. I remember Jesse Tafoya a couple years ago just starving for the knockout. This was a TKO. Was it close enough? Was it good enough for what you've been, wanting?
Yeah, we're getting there. We're definitely gaining ground on, where we could really go with this thing. So, I mean, it was good. I don't want to get like too pleased, too stoked about it, because I still have so much more to like grow and learn, and even mistakes now, that 51 seconds, like I could count a list of things that I could do better. So yeah, I mean, I'm happy that it happened like that. It's good that it happened like that, but I'm ready to get a lot better and do a lot better.
Do you feel there's a perfectionist kind of way to your journey of what you're doing?
Yeah, but then, there's that realism that you're never really going to be perfect, but yeah, it's something to strive towards. I'd never want to get, because that's something that I've had in the past where I've gotten a little bit complacent after I've won certain things, so it's like, I don't want to ever get there again. I want to be hungry. I am hungry, I'm ready to go.
How do you balance that hungry and wanting more versus being able to live in the moment and feel satisfaction for what you accomplish?
Oh, yeah. I mean, they go together. Like, there are times where you have to be one thing, times where you have to be another. Yeah, so, like, when I'm in the cage and it's time to fight, I'm in that moment. Like, I'm not reaching for nothing. Like, it's just, that's it. It's that moment. That's all there is, and I'm just embracing it. But then when I'm game planning, when I'm thinking about growing my skills and my strategies, like, man, I'm hungry.
And where are you at right now on this path? Are you still focused on the amateurs? Do we have a thought of when it's going to turn professional? Where's your mindset right now in that whole conversation?
Yeah, I'm fishing around for my pro debut right now.
Fishing around for it. So it looks like it'll be coming sooner than later.
Yes. Yeah, that's the next fight. I was actually originally planning to make my pro debut before I got offered this fight for the tournament. But I figured, it's such a big, it's a big deal for the gym for us to win that. And we want to stomp out the competition. So I'm going to do this fight real quick before I turn pro, and then, everything went well, and now it's time to go pro.
Having came up, first starting off at Wink's gym and evolving up to the pro gym, what did that mean to you, seeing something like this accomplishment? Because you're one of those base products that started off here, in showing how great the amateur program is with a victory like that.
Oh, yeah, man. It was an honor. Like you said, I came up from Wink's gym. That's where I had my first fight out of. Just a crazy little kid, man, that loved martial arts. I'm still a little bit of that, but I'm growing a lot. And, I got to go to the pro gym, and now we just won Elite Amateur Fight League tournament. So things are good. It kind of came full circle. You know, it's like I've been looking for that knockout for my whole career. I finally took 6 months off of competing, just got a lot better, got a lot more focused. I've been working with a sports psychologist, Dr. William Shandon. Hit him up. He's pretty sick. He has a lot of like really cool exercises for me to, you know, always just stay focused on my goals and my thinking and having my internal conversations on point. Yeah, man, it's all come around, and I'm ready for the next step.
How has the sports psychologist changed what you do on Fight Night?
So, when I first started my amateur career, my mental side was probably the strongest attribute that I had for sure. And then somewhere in like between 2015 2016, it kind of like fell off. So I got distracted somewhere along the way, and then I lost every MMA fight in 2016. And then I lost a fight earlier this year at the very beginning of the year. So it was just, it was important for me to take those steps to really address the situation and not try to work around it in any way. It's like really just face it head on, and I'd rather do that by going to somebody who does it as a specialty, as their profession. You know what I mean? So that I'm really getting the best advice, not just kind of trying to figure it out on my own.
I've seen somewhere online that I think were like 10 to 12 amateur fights on your record. Do you know how many you've actually had in the cage?
17.
How invaluable do you believe that experience is going to be when you make the jump? Because that's a ridiculous amount for an amateur run.
Yeah. I already know, like, there are pros out there who are not comfortable in the cage yet. You know what I mean? So I know, like, Wink pretty much, you know, made me go this route for a very good reason. Because I was wanting to go pro when I was, like, 19 and stuff like that. So it's like, I'm glad he got me to chill out and just take my time with this, because I am young. Like, I just turned 22 a couple months ago, you know, so I'm like, I have time in this sport to really build the best foundation and then move forward from there. So it's like, when I get, like, it's time for the pro leagues, and, like, when I get, I'm ready, you know what I mean? Like, I went through all the things that I had to get here, and I'm just ready. It's my time.
And can you explain for people what it's been like to evolve and grow learning at the JacksonWink Academy through this amateur process? You've had John Dotson to beat you up, Ray Borg's there now, Jose Torres, who people don't know of, but is coming up like a freight train from Titan FC. You've had looks and experiences in training that other people at this level cannot dream of.
100%. Yeah. And, you know, I was excited to face somebody from Team Alpha Male, because I thought, you know, like, they're getting world-class training like I'm getting world-class training. You know, of course, I believe JacksonWink is the, you know, superior gym in the world. But, yeah, I was excited to face somebody from another high-class facility. So that was another thing that motivated me and kept me sharp.
Now we'll go back to it. The referee that you had for that fight was Chris Lieben. And yeah. I think that's freaking great, because we have this thought a lot of times. We're watching fights, we're watching the UFC, we all say, what is that ref doing? He doesn't understand what's happening. How are those judges doing it? They don't know what they're watching. I think that's a great step to see a retired fighter taking that next leap. I wonder if you have any opinion on that subject.
Yeah, definitely. Referees, judges, any officiating position should be held by somebody who knows the sport in and out, you know, not some like basketball coach or, you know, whatever happens, have it like, they should definitely have a very in-depth knowledge of what's actually happening in the cage and what it takes to, you know, to fight.
Right, I kind of feel like I've been on a crusade for it. Keep promoting it. I believe we see a lot of fighters when they're talking about moving on to that next career. We've seen a lot of them jump into the commentating booth and jump into the media side of it. And I firmly believe that the best thing for the evolution of the sport is going to be if we see them jumping into the commission side, so that we stop having bad decisions and bad calls in the cage.
Yes. I agree.
This weekend there was a whole lot of action. Jesse, did you watch any fights?
Yeah, I watched most of the UFC fights this weekend.
What did you think of the card there in Australia?
It was pretty decent. It didn't 100% stand out as like one of the most amazing cards like in the history of UFC, but like it was good. Like there were high level fighters, and I enjoy watching that.
That Frank Camacho Damian Brown fight, I thought really that was a great one for the fight of the night.
Swinging and banging,
dude, so much fun. Taya Tuivasa,
yeah,
that's a big man that can fly. That was sick.
That knee though.
Oh, that knee. Is it just me or Rashad Coulter? I don't think he really learned what he should have from that Chase Sherman fight. He was still looking very vulnerable to those leg kicks.
I don't know, man. This is a big dude. If he kicks you, it's going to hurt.
And then Nick Lentz, Will Brooks. Wow, did Will Brooks look good until the minute he jumped into that guillotine.
Ooh, you know what? Me and Coach Harry have been working on that exact guillotine. And I saw it, and I was like, oh, he's on his hip. Like, it's looking like trouble. Uh-oh. But yeah, Will Brooks was doing great before that.
Do you think there's some kind of award for toughness we can get to Ryan Benoit? I don't know if you've seen the pictures afterwards, but it looks like dude got a left broken leg and a right broken hand.
Oh, what? Really? He broke his leg?
It looked like, yeah, the opposite leg. Not the leg that he landed the head kick knockout with, but the opposite one if you go on his Instagram. It's bandaged up. The right hand is bandaged up. That was sure a heck of a head kick, though, right?
Yeah, that was exciting. Yeah, he has an interesting style. I like it.
And then we saw a couple split decisions. Did you think that the judges got it right, or was there one that stuck out to you that was wrong throughout the night?
Which ones?
The split decisions. There was a bunch of them. Was there one that you thought was worse than the others?
Oh, man, I don't even know. I don't know.
Yeah, there was a couple of split decisions. Jake Matthews, squeaking it out by Velelicic, okay. I guess a little bit of grappling. And Tim Means, Bilal Muhammad, I don't know. They both threw leather. I think that was the second best fight of the night.
Okay, so I actually had to leave during the Jake Matthews fight.
Oh, so you did not see that one?
No, I didn't see that one or the ones after that. Like I missed the Tim Means one, and I missed the main event and the co-main.
Oh, okay. Well, in the main event, what you missed was Fabricio Verdum just kind of outworked Tybura. Tybura tried to work his push kicks, tried to work some low attacks, never really was able to land hard to the head. Verdum had a better variety, a much just higher pace, the volume. Tybura hung in there, never got submitted when he went down, but it was pretty clear that he was outmatched. Verdum got a win. It's just crazy to look at the heavyweights. Like, Tybura's ranked number 8. Just to see that, like, divide. Because you got Miocic and Verdum and Overeem. And it kind of seems like then there's a divide between them and quite possibly, like, the rest of the top 10.
Yeah, man. Jesus. That top 5 is scary in the heavyweight division of the UFC.
I think all heavyweights are kind of scary. I've heard these guys hit each other. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Anybody in the UFC at that level that's that big, man, you're going to have to deal with some stuff.
So as a young man coming up right now in the MMA landscape, there's a whole world of MMA. I know the UFC is a big goal, but like worldwide, do you have any goals like where you'd want to fight?
Yeah. So, I mean, experience-wise, it's always been a dream of mine to fight in Japan. Whatever promotion, like just to be there and to compete there. Because I grew up watching like not so much Pride, but like Dream and Sengoku and stuff like that, and K1 and all those fights that they had in the Saitama Super Arena and stuff like that. Like I loved that stuff. Man, I would love to fight there so much, but the UFC is probably my main goal right now. I mean, Bellator is on the table, as like a, final destination type of goal. But, like, I'd much rather get to the UFC. Because, like, I mean, in terms of myself, like, I've always respected the UFC champions as being, the best in the world. Like, able to beat the other promotions' champions for sure.
Well, for you, I have the question, is Bellator really on the table? You normally fight at 125 pounds, and I don't think they've opened that division up for the men. So, have you thought of Bellator as an option, or is it really much more a focus like the UFC?
They don't even have flyweights?
They don't have flyweights. They use them sometimes on the prelims, but they have women's flyweights. Bellator doesn't do men's flyweights as a title or anything.
Well, I don't know, man. Like, well, now that you say that, but I don't know. If I can provide a great life for my family and still be one of the best fighters on the planet, like, there are different routes to get there for sure. So I'm open to anything that fits that criteria.
I got asked this the other day, and even from a fighter who is a fan of the sport, is there an overconsumption of the sport going? Is there too much MMA right now?
What?
I have been asked that by somebody.
No, man. I don't think so. I mean, look at it in perspective to the other sports. Like, it's growing fast, but, like, look how much coverage baseball and basketball and football and hockey, man, they're everywhere too. So I think we're growing to be one of the biggest sports on the planet, but we're still growing to get there. You know what I mean?
After I was shocked by the question, because I had honestly, that came like out of left field, dude. I was not expecting that person to ask me that question. So I totally did not know what to say off the top of my head. Like 3 hours later, it came to me, and I think it sounds good to say this. There's still the UFC. There's Bellator. There's Legacy. I believe there's the Professional Fighters League starting up next year where they're offering $1 million tournament winnings. There's Ryzen. There's KFW. There's ACB. As you name all these promotions, and then you think about how many events they're having, it just shows how much depth and talent there is to this sport. Is there an overconsumption? I can't really say that because we're still finding all these other promotions to put out all this great talent, and it just shows how globalized the sport is. So you could almost say it's overdoing it, but we're just breaking the iceberg of letting the world see all this talent.
Exactamundo.
So somebody agrees with me. I was wondering, because the day I got asked that question, I was like,
started. We're not on the same level as the other sports yet. In terms of like media coverage and people consuming it and paying to see it and paying for merchandise, like we're not on the same level as even as boxing right now. So we got a long way to go. So there's going to be a lot more coverage in the future.
Do you think MMA is on the right path?
Yes. I mean, it's growing. So, we might be taking a little, like, rocky turn here and there, you know what I mean, as a sport in terms of, like, what the fads are, what's popular at the moment, but, like, in the greater scheme of things, the sport is growing. You know, it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger on, like, the grand scale. So, that's what's important. And then when it gets really big, then there's going to be some kind of ideas going around for like, totally unified rules or something like that. Yeah.
Do you think that's necessary? Do you think I'm sure we need to get to a point where we're not saying this commission in one state, that commission
Yeah.
in another state.
Yeah.
We have to have unified rules, right?
That would be nice. Yes.
What rule, if you had the opportunity, would you change right now that's not fully changed or incorporated? What rule bothers you the most?
I don't really have a rule that bothers me the most, especially like now that, you know, I'm turning pro and like I don't have to worry about, you know, if in this state I'm allowed to knee to the face or throw elbows, or, you know, if I can, like, it's crazy as an amateur going around and following the rules. Like one promotion I fought for, they allowed flying knees to the head, but no like grabbing them and kneeing them to the head. And some you can't do any twisting leg locks. Some you can. Some it's full pro rules. Like, it's crazy. Like, almost every different state has like a different set of rules. So but now as a pro, there's a lot more that I'm able to do. You know, I'll be able to sorry.
It's fine. We're on the internet. You can curse.
But no, I don't want like kids from Winks Gym listening and be like, "Oh, he's cussing." Anyway.
Oh, bad, Jesse.
But yeah. I mean, just the changes in the rules. Like, I don't even know who allows you to put 4 points down and that means you're grounded, or put 3 points down, or if it's your fingers or if it's your fists. Like, that one's a little blurry. And then that was pretty much it. I mean, I get the extending your fingers one for the like eye pokes and stuff. Like, you got to keep your closed fist or have your hand up. Like, that one doesn't bother me as a new rule, but I don't really understand the downed opponent one too much right now.
I just want knees to the head of a ground opponent to be legal, because then we could just get rid of all the blurry lines. Just let them hit each other, dude. It's still a knee. It's still legal in other places. Just let it happen.
I don't know about that one. You know, we need brains, like, to do things in life in general. And, I don't know, that just, like, having somebody be able to, like, be on top of somebody and, like, drive their whole force into a knee into their face and then, like, have it, like, not have any give and, like, hit the floor or something like that, like, that, I don't know about that in terms of, like, brain damage and stuff like that. Yeah, I would hold off on that one.
That one's the one that brings up the most controversy, so that's the one that drives me the most crazy, because we got 8,000,001 ways to, did it happen, did it hurt, can he continue? Well, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard, can he continue? Yeah. Let's just stop the fight.
Instant replays are great.
Instant replays, if we can use it where it doesn't automatically mean the end of the fight. There's too many, it seems like, almost, once you start getting into it. Too many T's to cross and I's to dot, almost, per se. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But as turning into a pro and starting to look out for fights, there was a member of the gym not too long ago, a female that I believe fought up in Washington, and she ended up fighting on an Indian reservation, so there was no commission. So, do you ever get worried going into, like, what situation you could find yourself in? Because a little of that, in this day and age of where we're going, to think, you know, we're going to take the UFC to China, and that's going to be sanctioned. But if you fight on some Indian reservation in Dakota, it may not be sanctioned. It's a little crazy, right?
Yeah, as long as my opponent turns in blood work and, you know, gets his medicals done, so he doesn't have anything where he'll, like, die or something like that, and, like, I have to do the same, like, we're good.
That's the bare necessity of what you need.
Yeah, I mean, as long as we get checked out physically, like, we don't have AIDS or hepatitis or anything like that, like, hey, I mean, fight's a fight. Fight's
a fight, and it will happen as it happens.
Yeah, I mean, I fought on tons of Indian reservations, and some of them weren't. I fought on many where the commission wasn't even there at all, like unsanctioned events and stuff like that. But like, I've pretty much done it all, and some of the ones on the Indian reservations were run just as well as, like, some of the major promotions that I've fought for. So it's like,
the unsanctioned ones were run just as well?
No. The ones on sanctioned by Indian reservation or Indian commissions.
Okay, well, I've even heard some, like you said, popping up with no commissions. So,
Yeah, no, those have always been sketchy.
and do you
I've
know ahead
always
of
had
time?
a dodgy experience with those.
Have you known ahead of time that's what you were walking into, or was it more like at the weigh-in you found out?
My first fight, I definitely found out at the weigh-ins, like big time.
And what was that?
Uh,
What do you mean? You're just like, there's just somebody on a
so,
table?
so my opponent pulled out like an hour before weigh-ins were supposed to start for my first fight, and I wasn't gonna cut any weight. I was gonna fight at 135. I was like walking around there, and so I got to the weigh-ins. My opponent wasn't there. Some other dude's opponent didn't show up, but that fight was at 145. So it got matched. That was my fight now, and then but like I wasn't weighing enough. Like I had to weigh at least like 140 or something like that, and I was weighing like 136. And so the promoter like gave me a lawnmower blade and like a brick or something like that to like put in my shorts to step onto the weigh-in thing. And so I weighed like 143 and like the fight was a go. So yeah, man, that was my first fight. I won it though. Hey.
And did the ref have a ref shirt on? What were you thinking when you stepped in the cage? Did everything look right on fight night?
Oh yeah, the ref oh man, I can't even remember his name now. He was one of the commissioners for the Milwaukee Commission. He was one of the main guys. He does jiu-jitsu. He's like a black belt.
Oh, okay, so somebody did know what they were doing there, though. Okay.
Yeah. The ref was good, everything else was sketch.
Is that one of your best stories you feel from this amateur career?
Dude, wait, hold on. I didn't even tell you about what happened earlier that fight day. So this is another thing for this trip. This is the day after the weigh-ins. I'm chilling by this river, and I'm just reading a book, and I'm hanging out, relaxing before the fight. And, like, these two drunk dudes come up to me. They're like, hey, I heard you're a snitch. And I was like, what? Like, man, I'm in here for, like, tonight, and then I leave tomorrow. Like, I don't even know anybody here. They're like, well, word around town is you're running around telling on everybody. And I'm like, bro, like, I don't know anyone here. Like, that's not me. And so he was like, listen, okay, if this was back in the day, then I would tie you up, and I'd tell you to walk out to that lake, and then I'd make a call. And I was like, what? Like, who are you going to call? And he's like, the CIA. And I was like, I didn't know whether it was time to fight or whether I should just talk them down, because they were so drunk. Like, they could not, if we fought, they were going down quick. So I was patient, and I ended up talking to them, and like, I guess the dude was real messed up from Vietnam, and like, he was like, he was not doing well mentally. So we ended up like talking it out, and at the end, he's all like wishing me luck on my fight, and like showing me these moves that I should do during the fight, and like telling me I'm gonna win, and all this, and then we hugged it out, and I left, and then I won the fight. It was crazy, man.
And I'm guessing you've never went back to that park again.
No, I haven't really been to Farmington since then.
Oh, okay, so I was there that day.
It was, so, you were there for the resurrection card, right, where I was the main event?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, it was their first card before that, like 2 years before that one.
Oh, okay, oh, wow.
Yeah, so it was in 2014. It was like a month after I turned 18.
Were you a little taken aback by the experience?
Oh man, no, like I was so, because it was my first fight and I was so excited for it. Like I was so in the moment that whole time. Like I was going with it, bro.
Now, what's the farthest you've traveled for an amateur fight?
Montana.
How did you get a fight in Montana, and how was that experience?
That's another story, bro. So remember I fought George Martinez?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I fought him and I won, and then I had that really crappy run in 2016 and early 2017, and he won titles for both the promotion for two promotions that I lost for. So I was like, I was trying to fight him again, like, hey, this would be a good rematch since you're doing well now. Like, let's do it. But that didn't end up happening because he said that he had a title fight in Montana to defend his belt. But he pulled out like a week and a half before that, or 2 weeks, or something like that. And man, I was sick as a dog. I should not have. I was laid out sick, but they gave me the call. They're like, hey, you want to fight for this belt? George pulled out in 2 weeks, and I was like, give me that belt. And so like I tried to cut 20 pounds while I was sick, and it was such an awful idea, but I did it anyway, and I cut weight, and I drove 15 hours to Montana, and then I was doing great in the fight, and then like my body just wore out and did not want to perform in the third round, and I got TKO'd. So man, I have learned some lessons.
Oh my gosh, I don't know how you made it to Montana doing that.
Dude, and I was the one who drove most of the way. Like, while I was cutting weight, it was, dude, I was wild last year, bro. Man, I'm a lot smarter now.
Have you hit 21 yet?
I'm 22.
Okay, 22 and so wise.
Hmm?
I said 22 and so wise now.
Oh, yeah, bro. I've had some experiences.
Now, what makes you most excited for the potentials and the thoughts of the upcoming journey as a professional?
Oh, man, I'm excited. I've been doing my mental work. I've been doing my physical work. It's just time to get that fight, get a good fight, get it going, and then just let it rip.
Now, as we're leaving looking back on the amateur run, what's the best advice that you've been given that you can remember?
Oh my God, bro! Like, I've been given so much advice, like, over the past few years. Like, Jesus, that's really a hard, like, that's such a hard question to answer. Like, because I've had so many, like, great, like, inspirational people tell me, like, amazing advice. Like, oh man, like, let's just say John Dodson, Greg Jackson, Mike Winklejohn, Brandon Gibson's given me some advice. All the fighters, geez, like Holly Holm, man, like, so many people have just come up to me and told me something that has stuck with me, like, man, it's like everybody at the gym is just so inspirational. Like, it's hard not to just learn something every single day. Like, that's insightful and can change lives.
Well then, not really sure where to go with that one next.
Yeah, bro, like, it's hard to, like, give you direct quotes. Here, okay, so, basically, Coach Joey Villasenor summed it up really well this last trip, where he said, like, when you're making this run, like, while you're in this game and you're doing what you're doing right now, like, embrace it all, like, love it all. You love everything about it and soak it all in, because, like, eventually we got to stop fighting, so, like, give it your absolute all while you're here. And that was, like, that really summed it up. But then, like, everybody else, like, Lil John Dodson has played a big role in, like, teaching me how to mold my techniques, how to make things work for me, how to use my style to the fullest, and, like, how to cut weight better, how to brand myself better, and, turn this into a real business. And then Greg Jackson's giving me great tips on my advice and how to, like, what my style exactly is. Like, he's broken it down kind of, and, told me where to go from there. And, Wink I've been with Wink since I was like 16, and he's always given me great advice throughout the years. So man, like, I'm just like overloaded on great advice.
Well, what has it meant to you going back to Wings Gym and now being an instructor there, along with Daniel Nieto, Wilfredo Santiago?
Oh yeah, it's cool too. Like, that's another thing that's like really good, because like I really like the kids there. Like, you know, I'm really invested in them getting better, because like I just enjoy being there, man. Like, it is a job at times, you know, but in the end, I wouldn't want to have a different job, you know, because it offers me the opportunity to go back to the place where I started fighting in MMA, and you know, teach the kids there, and have a good time with the kids, but also like evolve them through martial arts. So it's a blessing for sure, and I'm thankful for that place.
It's great getting to watch you evolve and learn. And then 2018 on the horizon. Looks like we'll be seeing Jesse Tafoya jump into the pro ranks.
Yes, that is correct.
Awesome, sir. Thank you for joining me this week. It was great getting to talk with you.
Heck yeah, man. Thank you.
Jesse Tafoya, a young man to expect big things from. Another young man that should be hot on the UFC's radar, Jose Shorty Torres, a champ. The Titan FC flyweight and bantamweight champion. A young man that has exceeded the champ label. A young man that went 13-0 as an amateur, 6-0 as a professional. Started off at bantamweight, dropped down to flyweight, won the interim Titan FC title, unified the titles, beating 20-plus fight vet Pedro Nobre. Went back up to 135, winning the title from 24-fight vet Frankhard Sharapov. And this past Friday, defended the title with a fourth-round technical submission victory of Gleison de Jesus, who was 7-2. Torres getting that win with the RNC, choking de Jesus to sleep. Torres even did that with damage under his right eye. Did get taken down in the fight. The young man knows how to handle adversity from the experience he's had. Very solid boxing. A very nice right elbow while in the clinch, and a left knee that he fires off repeatedly. Training between Chicago, Anaheim, and I've even seen him at the JacksonWink Academy. This young man definitely has to be on the UFC's radar, and again has won titles, unified titles, and defended titles, most importantly at 6-0, but altogether I believe it's like 18-19-0 with his amateur career. Jose Shorty Torres needs to get signed to the UFC. He had a New Year's resolution running into 2017 that he would be in the octagon before the year ran out. Coming off of his Titan FC 46 win, he called for his dream to come true and wants to compete at UFC 219 December 30th to close out the year. I hope the UFC heard that call out, and I hope that they do bring Jose Torres into the mix. Now, also at Titan FC 46, you had a interim or newly crowned lightweight champion with Rush Mafio, devastating right hands, cracking around and handing Chaz Walton his first loss. We have quick results up at cageminds.com for Titan FC 46. Also on Friday, well, it was shown Friday night, is you had Bellator in Israel. You did see a one-punch knockout of Alec Nicoli over Ramzi Abugov from the prelims on there. A very quick fight night from Bellator. Denise Kuhlholz, the women's flyweight Bellator kickboxing champion, comes in and shows off her judo black belt with a trip of Jessica Middleton, a judo throw to a scarf hold, immediately attacking the armbar and getting the tap. John Salter showed why he has some of the best jiu-jitsu in the world with a quick rear naked chokewind. And Hami Ghazali got a quick triangle choke victory in 45 seconds, making the Israeli crowd go crazy. Bellator has had some problems drawing big crowds in America. They had huge TV ratings last week in Ireland thanks to the Conor McGregor incident. I don't know what the ratings will peak out for, but I know as far as live attendance goes, with Noad Lahet out-grappling Jeremiah Lambino to get the unanimous decision win. Lahat was totally honest in his post-fight speech when he said, "This crowd just wants to see my hand raised. They don't care how I get it done. They just want to see me get it done." Very true words. Lahat, another featherweight, as Bellator has a deep featherweight division. AJ McKee wants a world title shot. He needs to get tested. Noad Lahet, I believe, would be in that direction of getting tested. And Emmanuel Sanchez, something like that, as now the whole featherweight division has been kind of grinded down to a halt with Patricio Pitbull Freitas' injury that stopped this event from having him and Daniel Weichel in the main event. But again, big props on Noad Lahat and Hami Ghazali fighting in Israel. The crowd loved their hometown fighters, and it made a difference in selling out that building and having a nuts atmosphere. So that was a big victory from Bellator. It was kind of a weird though night, I'd say for Spike TV, even with that extra added 2 minutes for a knockout from the prelims. The entire runtime of the main card was about 19 to 20 minutes. A lot of filler, a lot of lead up, a lot of not showcasing what there was. When you go look at the results that we do have up at CagedMinds.com, in all there was 5 prelims that ended in the first round. Not to mention, then you had 3 more fights on the main card, so that's 8. You're telling me that you guys would not have been able to cut to a couple prelims, just kind of dropped in their names, cut right to go, and show us a couple more fights? 20 minutes of action was all you could give us, Spike TV. That was a disappointment. But a quick night in most ways. I wonder what it was like being there live if you did get that fast pace. Talking about fast pace though, what about 8 fights, 8 first round finishes, 6 on TV, 6 first round finishes? What are we talking about? CES MMA 47 was on Access TV, and yes, spectacular, amazing, quick night of finishes on Access TV. The main event saw Greg Ravello knock down Derek Brown, a couple follow-up ground and pound punches, and the ref jumped in, possibly a early stoppage in that one. But again, every fight ending in the first round, hard to complain. Saw 3 TKOs, a Doris, a guillotine, and 1, 2, 3 more rear naked chokes. A night of finishes at CES. It was truly incredible. Richie Santiago, an undefeated fighter who we could be hearing making his way to those Ultimate Fighter tryouts. Same thing goes for Jose Lugo. Some huge power punching to keep an eye out of John Duma, a name to remember. Big, powerful punches. The East Coast promotion CES with CES 47 had an excellent night of fights there on Access TV. While I was talking to Jesse earlier, I had kind of asked him what he thought, if he thought there was a most controversial decision from UFC Fight Night in Australia. And of course, we got to touch on Tim Means, Belal Muhammad. A fight that was scored, well, against one of those fights where a judge gave every round to each fighter. 2 judges saw the first round to Muhammad, 2 saw the third round to Muhammad, 2 gave Means the second round. A fight that statistically the numbers were in favor of Means, it seemed, but the bigger, heavier looking power shots that were thrown by Muhammad led to the victory. I thought that Means had a greater volume in the third round. Muhammad did pick it up towards the end of the third round. It was an ever close fight. When Frank Camacho, Damian Brown got fight of the night, and Camacho was disqualified from getting his bonus because of missing weight, the UFC kind of said, we're not going to give $100,000 to Damian Brown. My bright idea, Tim Means and Bilal Muhammad for such a great war should each get $25,000, the secondary fight of the night bonus because of Camacho being disqualified. But people trying to save money where they were. Did I feel Means should have been victorious? Yes, I feel it was a robbery. It's kind of my opinion now after Carlos Condit and Robbie Lawler when there was a 3-1 strike disparity, that outside of that, it's not overtly egregious, even though robberies do happen. Well, robberies happen and fights happen almost every weekend. It may be Thanksgiving weekend here in America, but the UFC is embarking on a brave new frontier of their own. The UFC is in Shanghai, hitting mainland China. Kelvin Gastelum in the main event against a former UFC middleweight champion, but not the one we all expected. Instead of Anderson Silva, who has disappointed me so much and hurt me, it's Michael the Count Bisping jumping right back in the cage, coming off of the loss to GSP. Residual damage, telling myself there's no way that Bisping is able to walk down Gastelum and compete with this young man after having taken that beating, with Gastelum having a full camp at his back. It'll definitely be an intriguing main event. In the co-main event, you have Li Jingling, the Leech, ever tough, hard-hitting striker, taking on Zach Ottawa. The main card also has Alec Caceres versus Wong Gun. Caceres seems to have been on a slope. Wong Gun, who is 16-1, I think this is a big opportunity for him to make a epic impression. You have Muslan Sharifov, who is 12-1, the king of Kung Fu, taking on hard-hitting, big swinging Alex Garcia. Garcia can slow down as the fight goes on, has that tendency. You have Zabat Magomed Sharapov, exciting Russian prospect who can strike, who can grapple, 12-1, taking Cheyenne Moraes. Magomed Sharapov, very intriguing fighter to me. I believe you got to keep an eye out on him. In the welterweight division, Bobby Nash, hard-swinging, big wrestler, taking on Keon Song, who's 11-3, making his Octagon debut. Kaylin Curran, also on the card, against Zoyan Yan. Couple more favorites that we've seen from the overseas fights. Roland Dye welcomes Wulji Baran to the Octagon. And everybody's favorite follow on Twitter, Chase Sherman, takes on Shamil Abdurrahimov. A battle of distance. Can Abdurrahimov close that distance, get on top of Sherman, pin him to the fence, or drag him to the floor? Sherman will be looking for that distance, looking to land strikes. UFC is in China Friday night, Saturday morning. I'm talking about you need to get up to join me on Twitter at about 1:45 in the morning Mountain Time. UFC Fight Night 122 from Shanghai, China. I'm expecting a fun card there. You have 7 fights on the prelims, a 4-fight main card. Michael Bisping, Kelvin Gastelum. I'm more than sure that is going to be an entertaining little scrap. In a couple local news and notes, amateur boxer Shariah Maru out in India for big amateur AIBA Women's Youth World Championships 2017. Unfortunately, losing to the top prospect from Russia in the first rounds, but still congratulations to Shariah on making it that far. On some national boxing news concerning a local, Angelo Leo fought in Las Vegas this past weekend. Mayweather's promotion card, and scores a 4th round TKO, now 11-0, with 7 knockouts. In Colorado Springs, Slade Ring gets a first-round submission win. Same goes for Flavian Pilgrim. Both men come back with victories from Rubicon 6. Keep you guys reminding that December 1st, we have JacksonWink Fight Night 2. A lot of media going up at CagedMinds.com. Caged Minds MMA show on YouTube. And we may have some guests next week talking about that fight. Also, December 1st, in San Antonio, Texas, you have Combates America. Dominique Waters from the JacksonWink Academy will be on the card, and so will Andres the Bullet Quintana from Latrell Yee. The featherweight who wants to be the king of combates is taking on Texas's own Ray Trujillo, a battle-chiseled veteran. 2 days later, on a Sunday, King of the Cage, strawweight titles on the line. Cynthia Sin Arceo, who we've had the pleasure of talking to many times, going for the gold. The former King of the Cage amateur strawweight champion wants to realize that same goal as a professional. Invicta FC has an event going down December 8th. Amber the Bully Brown, now representing Latrell Yee MMA and Fitness, will be on that card. And also reminding you guys, every Wednesday, still a couple more episodes left, tune in to the Ultimate Fighter Fit NHB's own Nico Montano. She's down to the final 4 this Wednesday. Will she win? Will we see Nico fighting next weekend for the first ever UFC Women's Flyweight Championship? Caged Minds MMA on Twitter and Instagram. Caged Minds Combat Sports News on Facebook is how to keep up with myself. A shout out to Mac10 MMACK10. Check them out on Facebook. Edward Ruiz, thank you for the support. Check me out every Tuesday if you're here locally in Albuquerque on 610 KNML, the 610 KNML Sports Bar. Do a half hour there with Michael Carlisle and Mike Trujillo. Also, ProView Networks, Channel 26 on Comcast if you're here locally in the Albuquerque area for Red Menace TV, where you can catch my Caged Minds segment every week on Leroy Lucero's show. A lot of great ways to keep up with Caged Minds, everything I'm trying to do to promote, support combat sports athletes and get their stories out there. Check out a lot of results and stories up at CagedMinds.com. And again, thank you for listening this week.